All right, folks, today on Capitol Hill, there'll be a massive rally taking place on the East Lawn of the U.S. Capitol, focusing on the issue of voting rights. Civil rights activists are going to be leading that particular effort, trying to get Congress to move on the Voting Rights Advancement Act. The bill would restore full protections to the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which was gutted 4 years ago in the landmark Supreme Court case Shelby County versus Holder. The Voting Rights Advancement Act will create a new coverage formula that applies to states with repeated voting rights violations in the last 25 years. Joining us right now is Hillary Shelton, Director and Senior Vice President for Advocacy and Policy of the Washington Bureau of the NAACP. Our panel today is Ray Baker, host of the Public Agenda podcast, Melanie Collins, First Vice President of the New Jersey Federation of Republican Women and host of Money Talk with Melanie, Ralph Chittum's Principal, Black Elephant Consultants, LLC, also Republican. Hillary, I'll start with you. Very simple. This Congress has done nothing so far in the last 4 years to do anything when it comes to voting rights. You have Sensenbrenner out of Wisconsin who's offered a bill. He got fewer Republican co-sponsors than before. Republicans made it clear they are perfectly fine with where the Supreme Court stands. How do you change them? How do you get them to move?
The pressure has to be put on. Quite frankly, they're hoping that it will just go away. The chair of the Judiciary Committee is someone who comes from a district that was actually once covered by the Voting Rights Act in Virginia.
And that's Bob Goodlatte from Virginia.
Bob Goodlatte, absolutely.
Who has been a vigorous opponent of any efforts to try to change or make changes to this particular law.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, there have been no hearings on the bill. There have been no opportunities to testify on it. The issue has not been aired in public, as it very well should. As a matter of fact, again, what his words to us were that I'm not hearing anything from my people. Those are his words exactly, and as such, I'm not going to do anything about it.
So when he says my people, last I checked, he is the chairman of a congressional committee, which means he does not solely represent his district.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, when you're in that role as chair of the Judiciary Committee, extremely important. Issues of oversight, you talk about policing as we started this conversation, but also now we're talking about voting rights. This is the same committee that has jurisdiction over both of those issues. They've decided to ignore these concerns that are extremely important to so many communities, including the communities.
Well, the statement from Goodlatte's also a lie because he has heard from people in his district.
Absolutely.
He simply doesn't like the people who he heard from. He's actually heard from constituents at his home office as well as here in D.C.
Without question. As a matter of fact, in his home office, not only our branch president, there's a branch president for that area that includes his district, but also the national president of the NAACP staged a sit-in in his office as well to raise the issue much more clearly, to make it clear to him this is a problem. You need to respond to it. We've actually filed a testimony with him and with the committee, letting them know just how bad it is, but he's ignoring it altogether.
Melanie, why Republicans continue to ignore the reality of voting rights and voter suppression?
I disagree with you that Republicans are continuing to ignore voting rights.
Really?
What's
happening in North Carolina where a federal court said there was laser-like precision where Republicans targeted African Americans? What's happening in places like Mississippi and Alabama? What's happening when you have Florida Governor Rick Scott who's actually removed folks from the voting rolls? What's happening? Those are all Republican-led states.
If they are not legitimately on the voting rolls, they need to be removed. No one's talking about.
Actually, no. The facts are, even in Florida, one second, even in Florida, Governor Scott, they had to put people back on the rolls because they illegally removed them from the rolls. But I didn't just mention Florida. Please talk about North Carolina, where Republicans, where the federal court said there was a laser-like targeting of African Americans.
And if that's what happened, then
not if that's what happened.
Okay, well,
but Melanie, they have emails. No. But here's the deal.
Okay.
And Ralph, we've been on this road with Ralph before.
Exactly.
They have actual emails. The Republicans requested voting data specifically for African Americans, where showed 70% voted in early voting, and that's why they reduced early voting.
What you're doing now is a fallacy in reasoning.
I'm sorry. Whoa, no. Hold on, Melanie.
It's a fallacy in reasoning.
I am stating what federal judges actually wrote in their order. Ralph, did federal judges write this?
They wrote it, but what we're missing the fact is removing people from voting rolls for nefarious reasons is done by Democrats and Republicans. And what we do on this show consistently is only focus on Republican sins, and Democrats do the same thing also.
I mentioned 5 specific states, but not one, and not just one form of voter suppression. I mentioned multiple.
But you didn't mention any state where Democrats have removed voters from the rolls illegally.
And again,
and that's the problem.
And again, if you actually
this isn't a partisan issue. This is a power issue.
If you actually have this particular bill that's actually passed, it will impact Republican-led states, Democratic-led states, but what you have is a Republican House and a Republican Senate that refuses to even hold a single hearing on this bill.
But what you also have are people who support Sensenbrenner and are working with him inside of the power structure to try to move this thing forward.
Okay.
There are conversations being held.
Answer my question. How is it that 4 years ago, after the Shelby versus Holder decision, and correct me if I'm wrong, Hillary, Sensenbrenner had more than a dozen or so co-sponsors. When they came back for the next congressional session, he had less than half of that. There are fewer Republican co-sponsors today of Sensenbrenner's bill than it was 4 years ago. So it seems in the last 4 years, you've had fewer actual Republican co-sponsors of the bill. So please tell me how we're moving towards anything happening.
We're moving forward because conversations have to occur. You have to engage people. You have to.
Well, let me disagree with you very strongly. Facts are important. Before you can talk about any interpretation, we have to have accurate facts.
Well, the facts are that conversations are being held on the GOP side to support Sensenbrenner and the amendments.
The facts are,
who's having the conversation?
The chair of the Judiciary Committee, who happens to be a member of his same party, will not allow or entertain Sensenbrenner's bill. The bill has not had hearings. The bill has not received.
Hold up, Hillary. I need you to repeat that just so anybody listening, whether they're Republican or Democrat, can hear what you just said.
The chair of the Senate of the House Judiciary Committee,
Goodlatte from Virginia,
is a Republican, a member of the same party as Mr. Sensenbrenner, Jim Sensenbrenner of Wisconsin.
Well, I'm not saying that there isn't opposition to it.
Sensenbrenner has asked for the bill to be heard by the committee to allow it to go through the normal process of being marked up and moved to the floor for consideration. They won't even allow the first step. And this has been going on for the last 4 years.
And what I'm saying is that there are Republicans who are working with Sensenbrenner to overcome that opposition. So this blanket condemnation of Republicans is false.
Why is it then
Ray, go ahead.
Goodlatte? Why is it that Mr. Goodlatte is saying that, quote, my people don't see there to be any problems?
Ray,
my people have said nothing to me. They have an acting rule on Capitol Hill that if a member of the same party, this is one of those gentlemen's agreements as they call them, if a member of the same party has some opposition to a bill moving forward, before they do anything, they're going to work it out. They've not moved it forward. They haven't done anything at all.
That is true.
Ray the Melon.
Right.
Ray the Melon.
A quick point about that, Ralph. You allude to the conversations that are happening amongst the GOP in all these ways and various forms. Those conversations must be happening by people who simply do not matter. If they've been happening for the last 4 years and there's no progression there, it sounds eerily similar and heartbreakingly similar to the refrain that we hear whenever there's police violence against African Americans, where we say, not all cops are bad. And that's fine, and we understand that to be true. But we also understand that the good cops are not doing anything to police the bad cops. So in this sense, if there are so many GOP members who are intricately involved in conversation to make sure we don't have any level of voter suppression in this nation, why aren't they there standing with their allies, because in this case they will be their allies in the Democratic Party, or their advocacy allies that are supporting
You can't get Democrats to go along with Republicans for anything, including voting rights.
Actually, that's not
save
true.
Congressman Sensenbrenner that we're talking about right now.
The Democrats in Congress have not gotten on board with anyone, any Republican on anything. If a Republican said the sky was blue, they would claim that it was red.
So there's no Democrats supporting Sensenbrenner's voting protections efforts.
But that's a lie.
It's not. It's not a lie. It's absolutely not a lie. They are obstructing every move, every single move the Republicans make.
What about this issue?
I want to know, Melanie, where is Republican leadership when it comes to this bill and voter suppression? Where is it?
So you want Republican leadership on this bill, but the Democrats don't want to come across the aisle and help out with any other bill, like the health care bill.
Can you answer these questions?
We did answer the question.
Hold on, real quick. We're gonna deal with health care in a second, okay? And I'm gonna expose what you just said is a lie as well. But I need you to answer this question.
Yes.
Where is Republican leadership on this voter bill?
The Republicans are doing what they have been doing. They're negotiating with the other Republicans as they should be. But
for the last 4 years,
if Democrats
with no progression,
if Democrats would reach across the aisle,
for the last 4 years with no progression, because and forgive me for interrupting, I do sincerely apologize. But at this point, if we continue to say these things, we're just rehashing talking points for the sake of being Washington talking heads, and we're not progressing anything.
Hillary,
go
ahead with final comment, because I'm gonna deal with that healthcare lie when we come back. And trust me, right now, you're gonna have to own up to that lie. Melanie, this is your first time on this show, but like anybody know, you cannot come on this show You can try with everybody else. But you come on here and lie, you will get exposed. Hillary, final comment.
The bill to fix the Voting Rights Act, when they took out Section 4B, which actually makes Section 5, the pre-clearance section, operational, was one that was introduced by Jim Sensenbrenner, a Republican, who was also the chair
from Wisconsin,
who was also the chair of the Judiciary Committee the last time we reauthorized the Voting Rights Act. He was outraged with what the Supreme Court did, as a matter of fact, with those provisions in the bill, and said they were being disingenuous as they made arguments as to why they need to strike that provision. In essence, his partners there are John Conyers, who is the ranking member of
Democrat.
Thank you very much, of the House Judiciary Committee that supports the same bill. John Lewis supports the same bill.
Democrat.
There's supports on both sides of the aisle.
Who is Sensenbrenner's co-sponsor of the bill on the United States Senate? Senator Patrick Leahy for Vermont, Democrat.
Absolutely.
So we just refuted your lie. You said there are no Democrats who will cross the aisle to work with Republicans. No. You said that there are no Democrats who will cross the aisle to work with Republicans on this bill. Conyers, Democrat. Lewis, Democrat. Leahy, Democrat. So, Melanie, what you just said is a lie.
Respectfully, Mr. Martin, if you don't call me a liar on national television,
what wasn't
just
true.
because you don't agree with what I said does not make it a lie.
You said there are no Democrats who will cross the aisle. Conyers, he's a co-sponsor.
Not enough.
Oh my God.
Not enough.
Hillary, what time is the rally today?
10:30, East Lawn of the U.S. Capitol building. We're going to be addressing this issue as Terry Sewell, who actually represents the same district that was actually the subject of Shelby versus Holder. In essence, we've got to reintroduce the bill. That's what we're doing today. We want to push forward, and we're inviting all members of the Congress, House, Senate, Democrats and Republicans to be co-sponsors to help move this bill through and fix this big problem.
Our cameras will be there. We'll have more of this tomorrow. Hillary, we appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. A peaceful protest turned deadly. 37-year-old black man was shot and killed by Baton Rouge police. His hands are in the air, and you still get shot by the cops.
Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead.
We're not going to let hate define us.
Race is a big part of this.
If truly all lives matter, then all lives need to matter equally.
What we require is action. What we require is accountability. We understand that black lives do matter, and we will keep focused on this issue.
NewsOne Now, every weekday morning at 7 on TV1.